Welcome to What's Up, Bolts. I'm Fernando Ramirez. That at Moe's, that dark glasses, the hat, the head, I think is kind of down a little bit. That is Dan and Daygo.
You can't keep me down, Frau. It's impossible. I am an unconquerable force. I already told you last week. I told every single fan who listened, shout out last week to all you guys. It's not going to affect my mood anymore. I can't do it. I will tell everybody this. Only worry about the 6 inches in your life that you can control. Everything around you, worry about that. Don't worry about things that are out of your control. I can't control what they do, Frau. I'm not worrying about it anymore. It is what it is. I already sent a chat to my I sent a message to my coaching chat with my buddies. And I was like, all right, fellas, I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you don't join me today in misery. And they just started laughing and all that. So it's all good. It's all good, baby.
Obviously, Dan's talking about the 27-24 loss to the Tennessee Titans. The Chargers just suffered. It was in overtime. They fall now to 0-2. Not a good look, obviously, with everything surrounding them. I mean, there was a lot, and this isn't me trying to write the obituary or anything, but there was a lot of hope coming in with I don't want people to take it that way, but there was a lot of hope. There was a lot of time. There was a lot of hope with this team coming in, that the offense, the defense, there was a lot of talk. Right now, the special teams has been the only consistent part of this team. The offense, Dan, that's kind of where I want to start. I know the defense is going to be the big talk, but last week the offense had an opportunity right before Tua went down the field to score that game-winning touchdown with Tyreek Hill. They had an opportunity to come down to the Chargers had an opportunity before that they were in the red zone. They decided to settle for a field goal. That's when Tua and Miami came in and not set. I didn't mean settle.
No,
I just
settles the
no, but not settle, because that wasn't the mentality. I'm sure their mentality was a score, but the way I'm speaking is they came and the play calling was really questionable last week at that time, and then obviously the Miami Dolphins end up scoring that touchdown. And then obviously Vic Fangio brought the pressure and they were able to sack Justin Herbert twice. So it just it's not a good look to start off for this Chargers team. And then today against the Tennessee Titans, they get into the red zone at the end and they decide to kick a field goal, tie it. Again, questionable play calling when they got down there. They kick the field goal, they tie it, overtime. 3 very questionable calls. You saw on that third down play, guys were still kind of not moving, but there was a lot of confusion, and then they were coming off, and you could see guys kind of talking to each other like, whoa, was that your guy? Was that like what was going? Not your guy, but like what was going on? So there's a little bit of a question mark there for Kellen Moore in the offensive system. I saw on Twitter some fans are blaming Herbert, but I don't think that's on Herbert. I think that's on the play calling and everything. I think fans are kind of
they're just looking for somebody.
No. I think fans sometimes, I don't want to say, I guess they kind of hope or think they're like, well, Phillip used to do this. Phillip used to change plays. Phillip used to kind of on the run would kind of change and do different things. Well, Justin still isn't at that. He's only going into his 4th year. Phillip started doing that more in the second, like when with Mike McCoy and Anthony Lynn and that kind of era. He wouldn't do that during the beginning of like the North Turn era or even in the more towards the back end of it. But it takes a while for a quarterback to establish himself and do what he wants to do. And a veteran quarterback that says, you know what, like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Yeah, the offensive coordinator said that. Yeah, right. We're changing. We're going this way. So I just think that's a little bit unfair because we've seen Herbert before in the clutch. We've seen him go down the field, make the necessary plays. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that was my kind of thought process. Obviously, I mean, yeah, some of it is on the quarterback position because that's the position that everybody looks at. But I wouldn't put this solely on Herbert at the end. Like it's not just on him. I know the Chargers had 4 different opportunities to win this game, but I just thought the play calling at times was questionable. At the beginning, I thought it was fine. Like they had some really good play designs. They had the 2-point conversion of Pipkins. They had that really nice play where in the red zone where everybody thought that Mike Williams was going to get the everybody thought Mike Williams was going to get the screen pass.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen turns upfield and he walks into the end zone.
Yep.
So I just don't think that this rests just on Justin Herbert. I think this is a collective offensive loss. I mean, the defense, we'll get into the defense, but I think the defense is the easy part to pick. I think right now we should be talking a little bit more about the offense. No, I'm being honest.
No, I know. I just thought it was funny. Like, I can laugh. We can laugh about these things.
No. Well, I just don't want you to misinterpret what I'm saying and be like, oh, this. No. I'm just being honest about it. But what did you think?
Yeah, I think more importantly, these past 2 weeks, again, where's the aggressive mentality? Like, you're settling for field goals when, I don't know how to put this, but, and I will say settle. I think they've settled for field goals, and I think that's been the biggest problem for Al that they've had so far in 2 weeks of the season. Just like, I'm not even going to get into last year, but just in these 2 weeks, you've settled for field goals. I don't know why, because it doesn't take a brain surgeon in a game to understand, hey, defense is kind of shoddy, dude. You can't really rely on them for some clutch situation. And if you're getting into this scoring battle where you want to be the guy with the last chance, if there's time on the clock, I'm going for a touchdown. I'm not kicking field goals. If you have a 2-point lead, a 3-point lead, like with a defense like that, you've got to score touchdowns, dude. You can't rely on field goals and hope for stops. That's just my opinion right now. I think they messed up towards the end of this game. They had a perfect opportunity to go down the field and, again, not settle for a field goal. They had plenty of times. I think they still had all 3 timeouts. So why they settled for it, I have no idea. And I don't understand the whole Herbert hate for the moment. Like, and mind you, I've been critical of the guy in the sense that I think sometimes he takes too many sacks instead of throwing away the football. He did that a few times today in the game, which I was happier with. But I mean, like, I don't know how they're trying to say, Herbert wasn't clutch last week when Vic Fangio just called a good pressure that got to him. Like, I don't understand how that's really on him. Like, a guy comes in free, it's going to be very hard for him to make a play, especially with, DBs doing their jobs potentially and all that stuff. Same thing in this game. In this game, it was just like we talked about it. They looked like they were running a 2-minute offense when you have 10 minutes to freaking score, Frau. Yeah. Why they didn't run the football or something else on first down, I have no idea. You couldn't
run you're talking about an overtime.
I'm saying your whole playbook's open and you choose to only run the portion where it says 2-minute hurry up offense. I didn't understand the 3rd and 10, let's not huddle and go hurry up. I didn't understand that either, because 3rd and 10 in that point in the game, you've got to dial up your best play, because again, you could not rely on this defense to get a stop in clutch time. Like, I don't know why we're not talking about that more. That they just didn't come up. They haven't come up clutch 2 weeks in a row.
No, and 2 weeks in a row, the offense they've given up a sack in clutch. No, but they've given up a sack in clutch. It was this week. It was Landry sacked Herbert at to make them settle for that field goal, and then obviously last week they had 2 sacks at the end of the game.
And that's why I'm saying, like I think, fine, you settle for the field goal, you go overtime, you receive first. Why are you not running a regular, offense? Why are you just trying to take shots? You don't need to take shots. You have 10 minutes to score, especially you can drive down the field like you have been. I personally don't understand where all this hate's coming for the offense, except, obviously the overtime play calling I thought was trash, but it is what it is. They were moving the ball up and down. They just didn't score enough and they settled for the field goal, which I think is the biggest problem. But, again, defensively, you said we're going to get in the defense later, but, that's my biggest thing. At times you saw really Zion tested, and he, failed a few of those with Simmons and all that stuff. And it is what it is. You saw Lindsley a few times on the ground where you're like, come on, dude, like, you're getting paid all pro money. Like, we got to pick it up a little bit. You had a few penalties on offense also. So it's just, again, I see the offense as more of the bright spot. The other thing that, stealing from I say, a lot, I need to get out of that habit, but watching your live, Frau, shout out, by the way, Frau's live on Bleacher Report, shout out. A lot of them were talking about Quinton Johnston, and I think the same thing. Like, why is he not being more involved in this offense, or why is he barely on the field? You saw Josh Palmer, get a few looks, but it's not like what it was in years past. So I don't understand really what's the thought process behind that. And again, I think we're running into the same thing where I didn't really think, if Eckler's out, fine, okay, I get it. But why are you not trying to involve Isaiah Spiller, Dotson a little bit more? Like, see what you have with these guys in the run game. Like, Isaiah Spiller was out there a few times, but I think he went out wide or he was just blocking. So
I gotta ask you, because I have to get into this, but here's what Brandon Staley was asked. So they fall to 0-2. There's a lot of pressure. We know there's a lot of criticism that Brandon Staley's faced from last year, from everything going on.
And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest. Sorry, real quick. Sorry to cut you off. That's the biggest thing I've been saying since the season started. You've got to control the noise. And right now, it's not happening at all. The noise is getting louder, and the pressure in the pot is really starting to cook, dude.
Well, let's hear what Brandon Staley was asked after the game. Hey, do you feel like the Jacksonville stuff is still maybe lingering? And this is what Brandon Staley had to say.
I'm not worried about the Jacksonville loss. The Jacksonville loss hasn't carried on to the season whatsoever. If you've seen our training camp or you've seen the way we played in the first 2 games, it hasn't had an impact on our team whatsoever. Our team is connected. Our team has played its heart out in 2 games, and we've lost 2 tough games. It has nothing to do with the Jacksonville game. And if you ask anyone in our locker room, it has nothing to do with the Jacksonville game. And that's just the truth. It's a convenient storyline for you and for everybody else. It's not the truth. We've lost 2 tough games, but the guys in that locker room, the men in that locker room, they are finishers and they have what it takes, and we're excited to prove ourselves.
He's being asked about the mood in the locker room.
Yeah, we just lost a game in overtime, Jeff. So how do you think the mood is? How do you think the mood is? How do you think it is? It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough group in there. There's a lot of pride in that room. Okay. And we put a lot into this, and we got a good football team. And so we've lost 2 tough games. We got to bounce back, learn from our mistakes, and be ready for Minnesota.
Dan, I want to ask you, because obviously, you're going to know more about this than I am.
I'm seeing WWE right here, Frau.
But so honestly, like, I see it a different way, I think, because I am part of the media and everything.
Yeah.
But how did you view that as a coach?
See, I
tension, like he's feeling a little bit of the pressure.
100%. And my thing is this, right? When it comes, like, again, before I get stooges in the comments saying I'm only high school, this and that and that, I totally understand that. I don't deal with the media. But when it comes to me in these certain type of situations, Frau, you've seen me in games when either it's tight, getting blown out, or whatever. I take the Bill Belichick approach in the sense that my demeanor is flatlined the whole time. That's like, I'm calm, I'm under control. I'm not either getting overly excited or overly angry and this and that, because I firmly believe, like, if I'm losing my emotional, like if I'm losing my mind and I'm becoming too emotional, the players are going to feel that 100%. I think, through osmosis, whatever, I think it bleeds into the players, and the players start, getting out of control or getting one way or another, and they're not even keeled like you need them to be. And so when I see that, you see a guy who's frustrated about what, I have no idea, because it could be something that's at a deeper level than just, oh, we didn't win the game. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a lot deeper. I think right now,
by deeper, you mean the pressure, everything from
the pressure, front office stuff. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Like, it could be behind the scenes issues that no one knows about except him. Obviously things with certain players and just different things in operating with a team. And I think when you see that right there, you could tell he's very frustrated and angry. And I think, like, again, I understand it's a tough loss and everything, but you kind of trying to turn it into, like I said, a WWE type thing where you're going back and forth. Like, I don't like that personally, because like I said, we're winning, we're losing. Like, I'm going to try and be level-headed the same the whole time. And I understand it's not easy because the lights are on him. The people are asking him the questions. But, I think in my mind, in that moment, the Jacksonville stuff, it is what it is. He should be prepared and knowing those questions are going to come up. I think it's come up all off season. So I don't really get how he's not ready for that stuff, but I would just be a little more even keeled, because just that's who I am. Like, don't get me wrong. If he's even keeled and he goes ballistic in the locker room, like, completely separate and aside, right? Because, like, I would try and I would try and keep the more of that type of stuff behind closed doors. Like, I'm not really trying to get into a back and forth with the media unless I, deem their questions very inappropriate or disrespectful. But I mean, the moon in the locker room, that's a very easy question. All he had to do was say, like, oh, tough loss. You can imagine how it is. They're all very upset. We know we're better than this. Da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of just do it like that. But him trying to turn it on them and be like, what do you think, Jeff? What do you think, Jeff? And I'm like, dude, come on. First of all, Sir Jeffrey, shout out, freaking stud. Love that guy. But it's like, don't try and, overtly bleed out your frustration, if that makes sense. Like,
but I wonder if it's like, I don't know if it, and I'm not trying to compare or anything, but is it like that Deion Sanders tactic where it's like he's trying to, or even the blindside thing?
Yeah,
where he's trying to show the players like, hey, look, like I got your guys' back. Like I'm over here doing this, I'm doing that, and
I don't know, like,
but it just seems like it's more frustration than anything else about everything going on, and
no one asked,
and obviously,
no one asked about a player.
Yeah, no, and obviously last year there was a lot of talk about, hey, Sean Payton wants that job, and
that's
there's this
what I'm
and there's
talking
that.
about. Yeah,
And then obviously, and Dan, since that Mike Williams game and since that game in Denver, they have not won a football game. They lost to Denver, they lost to Jacksonville, they lost to Miami, and they lost to Tennessee today or Sunday. And now you're kind of looking at it and you're like, whoa, that's 0-4. Your offense has struggled, your defense has struggled. Like, the defense has struggled in all 4 games.
Yeah.
The offense has had really good moments, but it's also had bad moments. I mean, if you look at it today, I mean, Dan, this might surprise you. Ryan Tannehill, 20 of 24, 246, 1 touchdown. He got the ball he completed a pass to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different receivers today. And I just thought that number really surprised me. I mean, they kind of did what they did last year with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, I think last year he was close to 100 yards, but I don't think he got over 100. And then today he didn't either. He had a 3.2 average. Spears had 8 carries for 49 yards with a 6.1 average, but I think everything kind of killed them today. I mean, separate, like, let's get now to the defense or whatever, but if you look at, I mean, Treylon Burks had that 70-yard catch that really kind of gave them that spark that they needed. Then they started moving the football, but the defense just didn't, when at times, like you heard James Lofton say it too. James Lofton said, it seems like at times Kenneth Murray is guessing or this or that. And it's just not a good look for the Chargers in general. I mean, the defense just struggled all day. Or not all day. They had some good, and that's the thing. That's the problem too. Now it's overshadowed what the defense was able to, the positives that they had.
Got off the field a few times.
They were able,
I said got off the field a few times.
Yeah, they were able to sack the Ryan Tannehill 5 times. They were able to do some good stuff, but it was a bad look. I mean, here you go. After they scored that touchdown to Keenan Allen with 14:38 left in the game, they got a 3-and-out from the Titans. They punted to the Chargers. Chargers went 3-and-out. Then they punted back to the Titans. The Titans went 3-and-out. Then the Chargers had 6 plays for 16 yards. And they where did they get to? They were able to get to the Titans 47. It was 3rd and 7. And that was the play where the guy batted the ball down where Keenan it looked like Keenan might come open.
Yeah.
I remember he had Josh Palmer on the left open.
Yeah.
But then they went on this big drive, 7 plays, 82 yards, 338. And on that, here we go. It was Ryan Tannehill with a deep pass to Moore with Michael Davis on. Oh, yeah, the 49-yard catch that really set everything up. Yeah. Because then it was a Derrick Henry run, two Derrick Henry runs in a row. Then it was Ryan Tannehill to DeAndre Hopkins, and then the Kenneth Murray roughing the passer that extended the drive, and then obviously that was all capped off by a Westbrook touchdown from Tannehill. So, and then obviously the Chargers went on a 10-play, 60-yard drive that ended up in a field goal. They got all the way down to the Tennessee 7, and they couldn't do anything after that. So, just not a good ending to the game. I mean, the Chargers had their opportunities on offense. They had their opportunities on defense, but at the end, they just couldn't. I mean, In the last 2 drives that Tennessee had, they had 15 plays for about 119 yards. So they gained 119 yards on the final 2 drives of the game, while the Chargers only gained 60 on 13 plays. So they scored 10 points while the Chargers only scored 3. Just not a good look for the Chargers as a whole.
And that's the craziest part too, because like I guess looking a little bit ahead, they made Ryan Tannehill look like he's Ryan Tannehill from a few years ago, and it's like next week you play Kirk Cousins, who I think is head and shoulders above Ryan Tannehill and everything.
He just
else,
played Philadelphia. He had over 300 yards and he had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, and exactly what they like. This is the thing about the Tennessee Titans that we talked about in the preview. They were going to be physical up front and everywhere else, and I think they showed it here today, especially Titans offensive line, dude. We were talking about this, I think, towards the end of the game. The Chargers are going with like a 6-man front, and they still can't beat anybody to get a tackle for a loss or a short gain. Like Henry still got 4 or 5 yard gain, and it's like, to everybody out there, when you try and put more defensive linemen on the line, more than anything, is just to get one-on-one matchups to try and get, either a TFL or a short gain or have a linebacker fill. And it's like you still couldn't do that, no matter how many offensive or defensive linemen you put out there. And the other thing was, like we talked about also, the threat of Derrick Henry was where, most of these guys' attention was. And that's why you see, the 60 or the 50-yard bombs or whatever that happened. And it's like, I just don't understand if Michael Davis's speed is his strength. Like, he got burned bad today. Asante Samuel Jr. got burned bad today. And whether there was supposed to be safety help or not, who knows? Because obviously I don't know the plays. I'm not going to pretend to be the defensive coordinator's mind, but it's just tough. Like when you have those type of back-breaking plays like that, it's tough. It's tough mentally. It's tough everything else. And the other thing is too, if they were manned up on those guys, right, the reason they got beat more likely than not, maybe they looked in the backfield or they weren't on their keys or they fell for the okie doke because they were gonna protect, the wide receivers were pretending to stock block and everything else. So that's just a tough showing right there, because again, you made Ryan Tannehill look better than he is, and next week's gonna be a hell of a lot harder than.
No, and they're giving up explosive plays left and right. They did it to the Broncos.
Yeah.
Well, they've done it. I mean, honestly, since Brandon Staley took over, like he's always said, we got to limit the big plays. They haven't been doing it.
Yeah.
Let's just look at the last 4 games. I remember Jerry Jeudy ran crazy on the Chargers last season. Then obviously Zay Jones, Kirk, all those guys.
Last week, Tyreek. Like you have two guys back to back.
Tyreek last week. Traylon Burks today, and then obviously what was it? Moore, that guy also.
Yeah.
So it's just not a good look for this defense, especially for Brandon Staley, who was deemed a defensive guru, and he was going to do this, he was going to do that. It's just not a good look to start off 0-2. And then I was saying this on the Bleacher Report thing. Their bye week. I know a lot of people were angry about the bye week, and maybe it's coming at a good point. Dan, they could quite possibly be 0-4 by the time they get to the bye week.
The way it's looking, Who do they play
right now? I'm telling you, Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell's going to attack. He's going to attack this secondary. He's going to be like, okay, you guys are weak at this, this, and this. Boom, let's go at them. So I really do think that it makes you a little bit like you're like thinking like, whoa, like Justin Jefferson could be gritty a lot.
Elite.
Yeah. So and I know on COMPAS we gave it a hard time saying he's probably looking over and being like, Kirk Cousins, like I'd rather do this or do that, but go somewhere else. But but this defense, the offensive play calling at the end, the questionable, it's just all very. I think it's the little things that I think win football games, and the Chargers are not doing any of the little things right now. It not a good look, not a good start. Like I said, you're 0-2, and by the bye week, I mean the way everybody. I mean, I know the Raiders got tossed around by the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
the Raiders are going to be tough because it's a divisional game. Minnesota, like we said, they're going to be tough.
Yeah,
but 0-2 is not where I think a lot of people thought. I had said it before the season. They need to start off fast. The back end of this schedule is going to be very, very tough.
Oh yeah,
and and it's just not looking good. But and Brandon Staley told the media, he said in another clip, he said, I feel like we're going to be able to get this together. I think we're going to be able to stop the explosive plays, but I just don't see it happening, especially
2 weeks
with
in a row.
the way this secondary is playing. I mean, and today they interchanged the second. I was kind of wondering about why they decided to do that, but they were interchanging the secondary. They were throwing in Michael Davis, taking him out, J.C. Jackson, taking him out, Asante Samuel, Josier Taylor. They were going in and out with all these guys. Yeah, and it was kind of like, why? Like, what? Why are you guys doing that? So, it's a little bit of a.
You could tell why they're doing that. They haven't found their set guys that they trust yet for whatever reason. You can tell that's why.
Can they trust anybody in the secondary besides Derwin James?
Yeah, it's
like you saw Derwin James today. I hope on their plane they have an ice bath for him, because that dude took a lot of licks and chops, because he was the one. He was crucial in stopping Derrick Henry and slowing down Derrick Henry. But go ahead.
And like the thing is too is like that when you see those type of rotations, that's what it is. They can't find a mix that they like in there, and that's why they're getting beat downfield and everything else. Because those 4 DBs, like it or not, whether you're in man or zone, in a sense, they have to work like offensive linemen in the sense that they have to know how each other plays, what they like, how the communication level and all that stuff has got to be at the same level, or else that's when people find holes and stuff like that, and that's where you get burned. But it's like that's why they keep rotating these guys, at least obviously, again, just a sports stooge who's not in the building. I think it's they haven't been able to find the combination that they like, or maybe it is situational, but I mean, even in the situational stuff, it hasn't looked good either. So I don't know what they're trying to find in those DBs, because again, you put Derwin in the box, of course, everybody's going to start taking shots. I would start taking shots even if it's second or third and 1. You know what I mean? Like, Derwin in the box, I'm going at least 10 yards or further taking a shot, because can you really trust those guys back there? And I think these past 2 weeks have shown you can't really trust anyone back there who's not number 3 with the C brand on his chest, because it has not been consistent play back there. And the other thing also is that Joey Bosa did look fresher, but I mean, at times, actually, that was kind of a bright spot, I thought, Frown. I thought the rookie Tolu looked probably better than I would have expected for him being like a 20-year-old rookie. He was at least physical and getting after it. And it's like sometimes you don't see that in these backups. So I thought he looked better. Obviously, the commentators especially were like, oh, look at Bosa, 8 snaps, 2 sacks, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, they're like, oh, he's probably going to want this role in this and that and that. But it's like, yeah, but what happens on the other plays when he's not in there? You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same.
But I mean, that's the question, though. Can Thule handle that? If Thule can handle being that guy to go in there and do that, then maybe you save Bosa a little bit more for that situational stuff. I think the Chargers have found themselves a good player in Thule. Thule showed some promise in the preseason. He showed last week he had some good stuff, and then today I thought he really showed a lot of push. I thought he was getting there quick. So I was very impressed by Thule on Sunday. I thought he did well. Joey's role, I mean, that's not a bad role to have him in. I know you're paying him a lot of money, and
that's the biggest thing.
Well, yeah, it kind of would be like, how can I compare this? Basically, it's like
a Herbert in there on third down or something like that,
or like a basketball player being a 6th man, I guess, and you're paying the 6th man, like Lou Will. He'd basically be Lou Will. Like, you're paying him a lot of money to hit those shots and to get in there, but I thought Thule played well. And that's the thing, Dan. We can't even talk about the good stuff that happened in the game because of all the negativity. I mean, if you look at it, Keenan Allen is at 8 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams, 8 catches, 83 yards. So Gerald Everett had a really good play where he
had another good strong game too.
Stone Smart had 1 catch for 24 yards. I think Stone Smart, I mean, obviously he's not Antonio Gates or anything, but I think he needs to be incorporated a little bit more in the passing game. I thought that was a really nice catch by him, and that was kind of away from his oven mitts. I thought if it would have been in stride, I think he could have ran it for a touchdown. But yeah, it's just it's just not a good look, especially like I said, with all the positivity. The Chargers sacked, like literally last week, it was if you score 34 points, you should be able to win the football game. The Chargers weren't able to. And win the turnover battle. The Chargers weren't able to. On Sunday, it was they sacked Ryan Tannehill 5 times. They Justin Herbert had over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Chargers had no turnovers. And they still weren't able to win the football game. Like it's those, like I said, it's the little things, and the little things just aren't materializing for them. And it's just a bad look, especially like I said, they have a tough schedule. And I mean, like I said, right now, Minnesota next week, Minnesota's going to be pissed. They're coming off 10 days. They're pissed. They should have won their first. They played Tampa Bay. They lost. They played the Eagles tough. They lost.
They're 0-2.
Yeah, they're 0-2, and this is not going to be an easy game. This is not going to be an easy game against the Chargers.
Not at all.
You got the Raiders coming to LA. That's going to be another tough one. And then obviously you go to the bye week, you come back, you have the Cowboys, another tough game. So these next 3 games are going to be very crucial. But yeah, and it's like you said, it's a little bit. I mean, is it? I don't know if it's worrisome what Brandon Staley said at the podium. No, what Brandon Staley said at the podium. But
worrisome in what sense?
No, like you can feel the like.
Oh yeah,
the water is probably at the neck. Yeah. Like you can feel the pressure, especially because everyone's gonna say the same thing that they said back in 2006, that they said in 2007, that they said in 2008, that they said in 2009. This team is too talented to be ending their seasons the way they are. And then obviously with Phillip Rivers in the back end of his career was, oh my God, like Phillip Rivers is talented. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. How is he not in the playoffs? So, I mean, to think about that, Keenan Allen's only been in the playoffs
3 times, right?
13, 18, and last season. Yeah, only 3 times. That's terrible. So, and honestly, I think, and it cost them an arm and a leg. The first 2 years of Justin Herbert, no playoffs. Last year they made the playoffs, and that happens. Justin Herbert needs to get into the playoffs to really show what he's got. But
I think the other thing is too, I think they've felt, or at least I think they've felt the pressure since that playoff loss, because that's what everyone's going back to. You know, the problem is like when you have a franchise, like you mentioned, the history that they have, now it's, you know, almost a stereotype. And so when you live up to the stereotype, like it's going to get louder, where it's going to be definitely.
Oh no, and it's only going to get louder from here.
Yeah. Like I think seriously, if you don't go into the bye week at least 2-2, like I think it's gonna be pretty ugly, because when you get in the whole 2 games, right? And again, I've never been at the level that these guys are in this, that, and that, but I think those type of human emotions and adversity translate. I've been in a locker room where we're 1-3 heading into a bye week and stuff like that. And that's really where you have your coming to Jesus moment, and you're saying, okay, it's not going the way we want. What type of team are we going to be from here on out? Are you going to be the team that just packs it in and starts complaining and bitching to each other about things, maybe being a little bit of toxic? Or are you going to band together and really, take that gut check and come out freaking swinging and not going down without a fight? Because that's what happens when you get in these type of pitfalls. It's like, shout out to freaking Liam Neeson training Batman. It's like he says, suffering builds character. And we're going to find out real quick what kind of character this team has, because 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, like depending on how they go into the bye week, it's not going to be easy, and it's only going to get harder.
I wonder do you think like a players only meeting would be
I think when it comes to these type of things, player only meetings are good, because you have to have that level of accountability within the team itself. Because like what I try and convey to a lot of the players, especially like I essentially, just a quick little story time, my bad. The way I kind of run my our unit, the offensive line unit, is, me at the figurehead is like the teacher that is playing air and whatever, but I really work through a senior captain. Like the senior captain's the one that's really got to lead. I can only do so much, because obviously, especially in the professional league, these players half of the time probably think they'll outlast these coaches. So they'll buy in and buy out as fast as, people move stock or whatever. And I think that's what I, at least in the offensive line unit, that's what I try and build, that self accountability. Because a coach can scream at you till he's blue in the face. If you're not bought in, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. It's when those players start, holding you accountable. That's where you're really like, okay, well, I can't let, Bobby down or whatever. I can't let, my other boy down, this, that, and that. I can't let the team down. And that's where you start, I think, building the culture where it's not about the name on your back. It's the name across your chest that matters more. And I think obviously that's a little bit harder in the professional level, like a lot of people have said, but you got to try and find a way where you can balance that, where it's like you're going to play a lot harder and through pain because of your boys around you and everything else. And yeah, a player-led meeting wouldn't be a bad idea, but I mean, who knows how that stuff goes at the professional level, because again, they're professionals. Like you have a player option or what's it called? A player-led meeting that's optional or something like that. The guy getting paid $200 million or whatever might be like, okay, what the hell do I matter? My check's going to cash on Sunday anyway. So
you're thinking about a way different sport. $200 million. I don't think anybody's making that much money.
Oh, you're right. That would be the quarterback. Fine, whatever, 50, 80, whatever number you want. I was just trying to come up with an absurd.
No,
number.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think you're thinking of baseball. But
any of those sports.
But no, I completely agree with you. It's going to be interesting. These next few weeks are going to be very interesting,
and
Dan.
Very telling. Because, like we talked about, you went this week up against DeAndre Hopkins and
a hobbled DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, hobbled DeAndre Hopkins.
And they pick and chose their moments with DeAndre
when they go to him. Exactly. Like it's not like he was DeAndre from his original days.
Or last year he burned the Chargers when he was with the Cardinals.
Exactly. And it's not like he was 100%. And then the other wide receiver, I think, is some young guy who's still trying to figure out. Now you have next week Justin Jefferson, who's probably one of the best in the league. And I think against the Eagles, and I think against the Eagles, Justin Jefferson had over 100 yards receiving or something like that. So it's like we've talked about. It is not going to get any easier, and you've got to figure this out now. Like the day before yesterday, you should have already figured this out.
I completely agree. I mean, it's not a good look moving forward for this team, especially like we mentioned, everything else kind of going on. I mean, not a good look to start 0-2. And like we said, Minnesota's going to be hungry. They're 0-2. They're a dangerous team. So, and obviously this didn't need to be mentioned, but no Austin Eckler, no Eric Kendricks, and you could tell Nick Niemann struggled. In there.
And I mean, that's the other thing. And that's the other thing, right? Like that's why I don't really like the whole, oh, well, this guy's a special teamer or this or that. Like I get you got to have those guys, but at the end of the day, you've got to have guys.
Well, I think they were hoping that Dayon Henley would be that guy, and he just hasn't suited up yet. Yeah. So
and that's
they had
the other
to go
thing.
to him.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. It's like, but that's what I'm saying. When you have to have backups who are capable. Like if they're good on special teams, but they can't do their job defensively, like that's almost a nightmare, because it's like he's dead to you on what I guess essentially he was brought in for, but to be a backup. But it's like, then the other thing, they're thin at the edge also. All they have, I think, is Mack and Bosa when he's sort of healthy, and Tolu. Right now, Chris Rump's out. Yeah. Tulu. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing, this is what really bothers me too, and we saw it a little bit today again. I don't like the whole idea of Khalil Mack dropping back in coverage or being head up on receivers. Like, I don't know what the hell that is. I don't understand, like, how you're going to have your best pass rusher not pass rush. Like, I don't understand that. Like, dude, freaking drop one of these D tackles or somebody else who's whatever's at pass rushing. Don't drop Khalil Mack, dude. He needs to get after it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and like you said, this week is going to be very telling. But, folks, this week we will have a guest on to preview Chargers versus Vikings. Both teams are 0-2. It's going to be it's going to be put up or shut up for either team, because falling 0-3 is just, that's going to make things a lot tougher. Yeah. So
the other thing is today, so far, the Chiefs have won 1-1. The Raiders 1-1. I don't think the Broncos have played yet.
The Broncos are winning. They're winning right now.
Yeah, exactly. So
21-3.
So really, if you go 0-3 and maybe the other teams go 2-1 or something like that, that is not going to be good at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Because right now you're at the bottom of the
and not just that, you're now 0-2 in the conference.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a really good point you brought up. Yeah, like I guess this is playoffs. We're talking about playoffs.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah.
you're right. In the conference, that affects seeding a lot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's any hope of a playoff run here.
Yeah.
But that's right. They're 0-2 in the conference, so that is not good at all.
Yep. But we will have a guest on to preview this, and then obviously the episode will be out on Thursday. Again, we appreciate you guys so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Dan is very good with questions.
That's
so
right.
if you guys have any, we will we will answer them on the show. Again, don't forget to follow everything on Compas on the Beat. Don't forget to tell your compas what the compas are doing. We got everything. Gilbert and I on Monday afternoon will be going live to discuss some of these games. And then obviously Wednesday morning, the Compas on the Beat episode comes out.
Shout out.
And but again, we appreciate you guys so much. Have a good one. Try and have a good rest of your Sunday and rest of your start to your week. There's 2 Monday Night Football games, so get excited about that. But thank you guys again so much for joining us. Have a good one.